Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Karen Fazio, and in my day job, I'm the Worldwide Marketing Director for Microsoft's One Commercial Partner business. But I am also a proud co-founder for Women in Cloud. I just want to thank you again for joining our session today, Lead with Purpose, Aligning Your Career, and the Stuff That Lights You Up. What I'd like to do before we get going is sort of just take you through some of the features that we'll share in today's presentation. I'm having a hard time seeing the slides. Basically, maybe we just keep going. Oh, the slides aren't visible yet, looks like. We'll give it one more shot. There they are. Thank you. So, you know, this is while it is one of our side panels, this is still an opportunity to connect and share and be very active in the chat. It's been great. You know, our morning sessions, huge inspiration, but a lot of that energy came from all of you. So we definitely want to keep that momentum going. Next slide. So let's start with this in the chat today to get us going. If you could have any celebrity be your best friend, who would you pick? Let's see what's coming up in the chat. Dolly Parton, Nelson Mandela, wow, Brene Brown, oh yeah, Oprah, Michelle, yeah, Michelle, right? I think she's everyone's best friend. Personally, I would probably say Gloria Steinem. Awesome. Taylor Swift, yeah, she's been doing a lot, speaking up and using her influence for good. Love it. Reese Witherspoon, yes. I love what she says about, at what point do we ever say, what should we do? It's usually we're the ones that know what to do, right? So in today's session, the primary objective here is to hear from people who are living with purpose, right? Who have figured out a way to bring that North Star of purpose into their day-to-day, into their careers, into their businesses. And we'll have a great discussion with some thought leaders in that space. We'll also have a moment to take a look at the workbook. So for those of you that have downloaded that content, we've got a great way for you to follow along and actually use this opportunity almost like a workshop. And then we'll talk about next steps and other things that we can enjoy in the conference today. So as we start digging into this particular topic of purpose and leading with purpose, I'm encouraged by the shift in how much purpose-driven leadership is showing up in the most leading companies around the world, especially in tech. A few terms that are often associated with purpose-driven narratives include things like social impact. You've probably heard things like business for good, benefit corporations, also known as B Corps, stakeholder capitalism, inclusive economy, right? I hear these words and they give me energy, like they give me new space to think about. And there's a lot of research behind this way of thinking that it excites me and inspires me to continue to want to see more of our leadership embracing this kind of approach. There's a lot of research that's showing the benefit of doing that. Purpose-driven leaders align the aspects of running an organization with core values and beliefs. In today's marketplace, consumers and employees alike expect companies to make decisions not that are just good for the company, but are also good for society. In a Harris poll of over 1,000 customer reactions to the COVID-19 crisis, More than 80% of respondents said that they would remember which companies did the right thing by their workers in dealing with safety measures or efforts to avoid layoffs. 3/4 said they wouldn't forget those businesses that took missteps long after this crisis ends. In a recent Harvard study, C-level executives from across 28 companies in the United States, Europe, and India had an average compound annual growth rate of 30% or more in the previous 5 years shown, where purpose played an important part to their strategic goals. It helped companies redefine the playing field. It allowed them to reshape their value proposition, and in turn, it enabled them to overcome the challenges of slowing growth and declining profitability. And let's also call attention to the Business Roundtable statement on the purpose of corporations, endorsed by over 180 CEOs, representing nearly 30% of total US market capitalization. Within the statement is a call to enable fair compensation practices, training and education to remain relevant in rapidly changing world, and fostering diversity, inclusion, dignity, and respect. These are interesting terms, right? Interesting things to sort of bring into what it means to be a successful corporation, a successful industry leader. Creating fair and ethical dealings with suppliers, respecting communities, protecting the environment, embracing sustainability practices, all of things are very evolved thinking, most certainly an evolved perspective from the former maxim that we're quite familiar with from the 1970s, where it was stated over and over again that the sole purpose of a corporation is to create profit. We have definitely come a long way in thinking. Successful purpose-driven companies have this in common. They take what a Harvard study refers to as a hybrid organizing approach, which involves 4 levers: setting and monitoring social goals alongside financial ones, structuring the organization to support both socially and financially oriented activities, hiring and socializing employees to embrace both of these things, and practicing that dual-minded leadership, that thinking with purpose and business success together. It's harder, but it can be done, and companies are seeing success doing it. The goal is to create an operating model that has an expanded focus beyond revenue, costs, completion dates. It explores the effectiveness of the services you provide to your customers. And this is where we can activate high creativity, where inclusion creates more opportunity. Things like helping organizations access all forms of readiness or digital changes. This is an excellent differentiator and offers a wider range of services to your customers. To fully draw on the power of purpose, you want to activate diversity of perspective. You want to enable inclusive behaviors that draws more experiences from across your talent ecosystem. You want your talent from the very first moment of recruitment to understand the purpose of your company and hear the role that they have in contributing and leading in that purpose. So, let's listen in with our invited panel as they share their journey and impact in purpose-driven leadership. Our panel will be led today by Dina Grimstead, an active Women in Cloud community leader and senior manager in our AI programs and strategic partnerships with Microsoft. Dina, I'd love to bring you to the stage. I think we just need you to turn on your camera.
Yes, hello. It was just a little delay there, but thank you so much, Karen. And hi, everyone. I'm Dina Grimstead, and this is certainly an important topic. And to Karen's earlier point, one that is showing up today more than ever, especially in the tech space. So joining us on our panel today are 3 remarkable leaders with longstanding careers in the technology industry. Sarah Muckler-Visser, Michelle Pruitt, known as, and Gauri Selka. So let's meet these trailblazers. Sarah, let's start with you. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name's Sarah Muckler-Visser. Thank you so much, Dina. I have been in IT 25 years. I started out in radiology information systems and went into marketing as a passion. I have been doing marketing on a global scale for, I guess, 15 years, so 25 years total. I have always been extremely passionate about lifting women and girls in STEM, and so that's also a personal passion of mine. So thank you so much for having me today.
Great. Thank you, Sarah, for being here. And then Pruitt, how about you?
Hey, thanks, Dina. Thanks for having me as a participant as well. As you mentioned, my name is Michelle Pruitt, but I go by my last name, Pruitt. Currently, I work for SAP. My responsibilities there are guiding and accelerating digital transformation within our customers and bringing cloud and AI technologies to the forefront. I would say, taking a step back, I'm more of a strategist, and I'm also a certified life coach. And the two of those come together because I'm passionate not just about helping businesses, like I said, but the individuals. I want businesses and individuals to thrive. And I love connecting people, technology, and then those situational environments together, helping to bridge those and helping women to also navigate as they bridge those three areas as well. Mm-hmm. Currently, I'm focused on 5 key areas, both personally and professionally. The first is business transformation and AI technology, which I mentioned. The second is hospitality, which is an area I own inside of SAP. Third is empathetic leadership. Then we have human experience management and the future of work. And finally, women in the technology industry.
Super. Thank you, Pruitt. And I love what you said about being a life coach. So I think everyone could definitely use that, especially in these times. Gowrie, how about you?
Yeah, hey, Dina. Thanks, Dina. Thanks for having me here. It's really exciting to be part of this panel and talk about my passion of purposeful leadership. As everyone, I have been in the technology industry for more than 25 years now, out of which 20 years have been with Walgreens. And I left Walgreens as a divisional CIO, head of data analytics. And as part of the Walgreens career, what I saw was an opportunity for large organizations, especially, to mobilize their talent work for talent marketplace to meet the emerging needs. As we can clearly see, AI and ML and data is going to be the new economy for the world, but most of the organization workforce is not prepared to meet those increasing demands. And I have been part of, unfortunately, 2 major restructure in my last career. And that's really the purpose of Volances. And I'm here as CEO of Volances. I started this company with 2 important purposes. One is for traditional companies, which are non-digital native companies, like Walgreens, to be successful with AI and ML and data economy. What can we provide to make them more successful? And also what we can provide as a platform so they can upskill and mobilize their talent marketplace towards the emerging needs. And I want to give a shout out to Women in Cloud here, because we started off as a consulting service in 2020 and no, actually 2019. And 2020 came the pandemic, and you know what happened to everybody, especially small businesses. But I took advantage of that time and leveraged Women in Cloud Accelerator program and converted all of our consulting service into a cloud platform now, where we provide guided workflow platform for organizations to deliver successful AI projects. But we have inbuilt our coaching platform, so everyone across functional team can be part of this without being intimidated by this big technology. So thank you for everyone's help here. And I'm a big believer in women in technology and advancing both current workforce and the future workforce. So I started Chick Tech in our neighborhood. So really looking forward to connecting with everyone here and be helpful in any way possible.
Super. Thank you so much, Gary, for that great introduction, and what a success story with the Women in Cloud platform. So that's very inspiring. So let's jump in with the questions. So Pruitt, the first one's for you. In your experience, what are core characteristics of purpose-driven leaders, and why is that important in today's business climate?
Ooh, I definitely think it's important in today's business climate. And you know how sometimes you have a thought and then it's serendipity, you read something that just really describes or consolidates your thought, makes it really clear. I had that moment and I read the statement. I can't quote the source, so my apologies. But what I read said, passion is about finding yourself and purpose is about losing yourself. And like I said, this is so much more eloquent than how I was able to previously articulate my view of purpose. In my opinion, purpose, it's not just about following your interests. It really is about something that's bigger than you. It's centered around wanting to make a difference. And it's a mindset of serving, helping, and giving. When we think about purpose-driven leaders, it's turning inspiration into action, right? There's the self-awareness component, the emotional intelligence component, the collaboration. They walk the talk, right? They lead by example. They hire diversely, and then they align that talent pool based on complementary strengths. They create this highly engaged tribe or family.
Now that's great. And in Pruitt, what are those core differences between being goal-oriented versus being purpose-driven?
Yes, I have struggled for a while in my early career and understanding and differentiating the difference between purpose and a goal. Being purpose-driven is a long-term, lifelong contribution that you want to make. It's essentially a pursuit of a legacy, the legacy that you want to build and leave behind. On the other hand, goals help you build and execute to achieve that legacy and that vision that you have. So the best way to think about this is that goals are shorter term achievements you want to accomplish to move you forward and progress in building that legacy. So passion drives the momentum of execution and that achievement of your goals and milestones, and these support and create the impact of purpose.
Wow, thank you so much for that explanation of the differences. So next question for Sarah and Gowrie. So start with you. How did you evolve your leadership approach with purpose-driven intent, and how do you move your team towards purpose alignment?
I love this question. So I have always been extremely passionate about strength-based leadership and helping build the strengths of those on my team, and evolving into purpose-driven. And I think it is a journey where I'm always striving to be better and better there. But the way that I think of purpose is that it reminds us of the now, that it reminds us that now is not forever. It's the why we do something. And so it helps you with those peaks and valleys, because it's not about how you're doing today. It's about achieving that overall goal. And so I think it's really important to bridge the gap between an individual's purpose and their gifts and how, and their direction and their own journey as into the, map their purpose, their individual purpose with the organization's purpose. And that will help them wake up energized to go to work, be part of a team, feel that human connection that we all need. And when people are doing that, they really lift each other up as a whole, and you see much greater impact from the team, as well as the mental health of the team, because they feel very well connected into what they're doing every day. And so it's just understanding how each person is doing, how that maps up to the team and maps up to the organization as a whole. So teams also need to feel your motivation as a leader and clearly understand how the purpose of who they are and why what they do is so important. And so just supporting your team members, not only in their strength of their skills, but also in the purpose that they feel inside themselves.
I love that. It's that purpose that's validated, and then they feel that they are empowered to do, really great work. So thank you, Sarah. So Gowri, I'll repeat the question for you. How did you evolve your leadership approach with purpose-driven intent, and how do you move your team towards that purpose alignment?
No, sure, Dina. I think I will not repeat what Sarah said because I totally agree with it. And it has been part of my, corporate journey, right? I think the one lesson I would want to share from my experiences, I always thought like my purpose of what I want to accomplish has to be done outside of work. Right. That's what I thought when I was growing up. And I really wish we had all these panels when I was 20 years ago, or, so we could have learned and shared. But guess what? We never find the time to do anything outside of work. So my biggest thing is, as women, we always put our priorities at the end. Right. And guess what? We never get to do it, either personal or professional or purpose driven. So the way I have evolved is now, obviously as an entrepreneur now, I'm able to live for my passion, which is as a technologist now, every day I count how many more people I can help who are not technologists are able to adopt technology and be part of the current workforce and also stay relevant for the future needs. That's really my purpose. And the good thing is, because we are a very purpose-driven organization, when I open job posts, even though we are like a small startup, I do get a lot of good people approaching me for work, and because they really share the vision, and that's really what keeps them going, because they see the impact of their good work right away, and they get part of creating that vision as well, being a smaller company. So I'm really grateful for where we are and what we are to accomplish as a team.
No, that's great. And that's such validation in and of itself in terms of people seeking you out because they're seeing the great impact. So thank you for sharing that, Gowri. So Sarah and Gowri, let's just stay on you both for a moment. What's your most memorable lesson in purpose-driven leadership? And Sarah, let's start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking of this, and I think what I would say is my most memorable learning over time has been that not only those that are early in career need to feel that connection with purpose. It's really all of us. People are people, and we all need encouragement and to be seen in a much deeper and richer way than traditionally business has allowed. I love what Gowri said about how, she thought her purpose, it's outside of work. And, when you align your work with your personal purpose, it's an amazing connection. And so I also learned that purpose cannot be explained necessarily. It does actually need to be felt in order for people to be motivated. And so that was also another learning that I have had.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing, Sarah. And then Gowri, what's your most memorable lesson in purpose-driven leadership?
No, absolutely. I think the recent aha moment is when I joined this board of Safe Place, which is a domestic abuse prevention organization. When you come out of Walgreens type of big organization, you always think everything in billions, right? And everything is like 250,000 people or 5,000 or 12,000 stores. So you always think like purpose means you have to be really that big. But when I joined this organization, I can really see how this small organization in one county help thousands of people every day in helping women and children, protecting them from human trafficking and giving them another life, opportunity for life. So that is my biggest aha moment. And my thing is, if you cannot feed 100 people, then just feed one, like what Mother Teresa said, right? Like that is my aha moment of, you don't need to really make it big, but just start making impact now.
Yeah, no. And Gowri, you've seen the large corporations, you've seen the startups. What insights do you have about the next generation of workers and how they relate to purpose-driven leadership?
Oh, great question, Dina. I'm a mother of two Gen Z daughters, so I'm probably a little bit biased, but I have lots of hopes and confidence and trust in this talented, vibrant, strong generation that's coming up next to me, at least. I think we have done a a great thing to create a good environment for this generation, like the Me Too movement and pay equity. All of that has been like a lot more powerful now. I think the millennials and Gen Zs, who are the next generation, are really paving the way, right? Like if you look at millennials, they have made mental health and experience-based living is a lot more important than asset-based living, which is what we have seen in the last century. So I think that kind of perspective is giving the organizations to move away from capital and shareholders' market value and look at how do we really provide a purposeful, meaningful services and products and solutions to our customers, because that's what the customers want. And they've grown up with the diversity, right? Like they're going to see more diverse and inclusiveness. And pandemic is a great example where just one issue that started in one part of the world has everybody connected. So that's good or bad, all of us are all in it together. I think that is the sentiment that this generation has, as more and more people move into congressional roles and policies and leaders as corporations and startups. We're going to really see an inclusive culture, a technology-focused culture, because there is no business or technology separation anymore. So bringing that kind of knowledge is going to be extremely important, and also pushing the organizations to do the right thing. So if you look at Twitter or Apple, they've been talking a lot more about BLM and taking a hard stance on difficult issues, which are very hard to talk about as corporations. So I really think we have a great future. And The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman is a great example of such talented, people that we have as our future generation. I'm really proud and looking forward to seeing all the wonderful things they have to offer.
I couldn't agree more, Gauri. So let's close out this topic, Sarah, with you. Where have you seen purpose-driven leadership make a difference, and what's the impact?
Yeah, I have definitely seen it in the human connection. We talk a lot about at Microsoft about digital transformation, and especially as I think over the last year, I think we almost had a purpose transformation. It really made people aware, that we need to support each other and we need to map up to a greater purpose. And so where I have seen the most impact would be with the human connection and also the impact as a team. So when we see that the impact of a team, when we see the purpose of an individual map up to the team and they feel that human connection, you really see it lift and motivate the whole team as a whole. And so what I have seen is not only loyalty, it drives trust, as well as impact as far as the success of a team. But it really has been that human connection. During COVID, especially, the mental health of our employees and those surrounding us, has been just top of mind. And I saw that as the biggest impact, knowing that what we're doing every day is greater than us, and we can make an impact in the world, even if it's in a small space or a big one.
Yes, no, and I think it's a great point. I think that we have all been allowed to become more of our authentic self at work because of this pandemic, and just how we've had to, step back and think about those purpose-driven, moments of impact. So thank you, Sarah. So next question for all of you, and Pruitt, let's start with you. Who inspires you as a purpose-driven leader?
Ooh, so there are three that come to mind. And let me just say, politics aside, right? So let's just set those aside. The first, I would say, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And when you look at her career, her purpose to advocate for gender equality, I think it's unequaled. She's inspired generations. She was very strategic in how she pursued and advocated for gender equality and changing laws and shifting opinions, right? Really opening the doors for all of us. She has a terrific quote, which is fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And I think that that is amazing when you think of purpose-driven leadership, because you really can't be purpose-driven and successful if you are a power of one. You need that community. I'd also say Ariana Huffington, and I think she's interesting because her shift into what I call purpose leadership is with her launch of Thrive Global and her advocacy about self-care, specifically for women, and about having or getting enough sleep. And it was actually inspired through what she calls her own burnout and health issues. And so she's really brought this health hygiene, if you will, to the forefront for women in the business world. And then the last one, since I said there were three, Elon Musk. And he's interesting because of his desire to create this sustainable and habitable environment for humanity. And again, politics aside, he has some concerns as to whether that environment is going to be on Earth or Mars. But if you look across all his businesses, he's striving towards that sustainability, right? Tesla for electric vehicles, the Boring Company for subterranean infrastructure. There's Neuralink, right? Robotics, machine, military purposes, medicine, Solar City, SpaceX. So those are the three that come to mind when you ask me who jumps to the forefront as purpose-driven leaders.
Yeah, no, and the Ariana Huffington really resonated because the lack of sleep. I have seen her speak. She equates to as bad as smoking cigarettes for your health. So we all need to definitely be checking ourselves in the sleep department more and making sure we're getting enough. Sarah, how about you? Who inspires you as a purpose-driven leader?
Well, I love Pruitt's list, so I have to second hers. But from my standpoint, I would say my mother. I'm from a sleepy beach town where we didn't see, there weren't like big IT careers or anything like that. And we actually were raised, my family was wealthy until I was 9. And then I saw her kind of fall from graces, so to speak. And she pulled herself up by the bootstraps. She had a master's degree, and I saw her get her doctorate at 67. But while I was growing up, I saw her be volunteer to be the team lead, continue her education, and to get that doctorate. I saw her be a leader in the community. I saw her also give back when we had nothing to those that would help us. And so I was very, very inspired by her. I saw her financially struggle as a single mother. And she taught us that our way out was going to be independent. Our way out to independence was going to be through bettering ourselves, leading, and continually just growing. And so I was always encouraged by seeing her thrive and be driven to lead. I was very fortunate to have one very, very solid parent. And so I really have always been inspired from her.
I love that. And I have a similar story with my own mother, so I can very much identify with everything you said. So thank you for sharing such a personal story. And then Gowri, who inspires you as a purpose-driven leader?
I think I second every list, including my mom, right? I think mother is always a great inspiration for many of us. But one person who I want to call out here is Mother Teresa. So the reason why I call out her specifically is her ability and courage to lead with kindness, where coming from the most of the corporation that I've seen, kindness is seen as weakness. We always think like you have to be a type person to be a leader. I think she has set the world apart from kindness to be an important contributor in purpose-driven leadership, especially now the world is going towards a purpose-driven transformation. And she obviously was born to a wealthy family, but she felt loneliness is the biggest poverty. And now we can see, like, if you look around our community, how many people don't have somebody to just talk to them, right? So that's where this organization like Safe Place and all this come into play on helping the community. And that's what I inspire from.
That is wonderful. And yes, Mother Teresa is a great example of just kindness and selflessness. So next question for all of you. And Pruitt, let's start with you. Where do you go for leadership inspiration, and what resources spark you up?
Yeah, well, Gallery talked about kindness. And when I think about that, one of my answers to this is this community here, right? Women in Cloud, the women who are in attendance today, who are going to listen to the recordings. I can tell you, since my involvement in Women in Cloud, my personal and professional growth has just been multiplied. And there are a lot of women where formally or informally, I've received mentorship and coaching. And so they are leadership inspirations to me. This collective is a leadership inspiration. I look to colleagues, but I also look online. I mentioned Ariana Huffington and Elon Musk. There are a few. I try to focus on publications, Forbes, Psychology Today, Thrive Global, which is Ariana Huffington's Wired, and also engaging in a different way on LinkedIn, right? Looking at these leaders that I mentioned and who do excel at this purpose-driven leadership, follow them, and then engage in a conversation in regard to their posts. That is what inspires me. I'll say I am a newsfeed addict, so I tend to constantly refine my interests. And, when it comes to psychology and this humanistic, empathetic leadership approach, that is always high on my my filter criteria.
Yeah, no, and I can identify with the news. I love news feeds. So yes, and I consistently change them up. So thank you, Pruitt, for sharing that. Sarah, where do you go for leadership inspiration, and what resources spark you up?
Well, I'm following in my mom's footsteps about hopefully getting my doctorate. So I'm going one class at a time, and I love that for organizational leadership. So that gets me pumped up. But in addition, so I also do a lot of personal research on the web. I am homeschooling, not by choice, but because of COVID right now. So, so that a lot, like at night, I don't have any of the spare time during the day ever, like we ever did. I don't know. But so in the evenings, I love to learn, and just, I'm so curious, and I want to do that. But I think what really sparks me up is my tribe. When you meet somebody that just has like that energy and that is always pushing it, and you can call on them for inspiration, and maybe a late night text like, hey, can we chat? I'm always that really pumps me up, is that connection to my tribe. And so I encourage everybody to make sure, if you don't have one, to build one around you, for sure.
Yes, and everyone in the audience today has a tribe. It's called Women in Cloud. So
yes, I love that.
Yes, so thank you, Sarah. So Gallery, where do you go for leadership inspiration, and what resources spark you up?
I think all of the above, like here, like Women in Cloud has completely transformed my journey, and I look forward to be part of that in helping others. And now that it's a global platform with so many corporations being part of it and startups, and providing economic access is the best thing, right? Like, as we have clearly enough economic data points that says if you help one woman, that means you're helping 100 more people, right? Because she's going to make sure the community, her family, there is, so that is a great inspiration to be part of this and forming a group here. But I also listen to the new leaders across the world, right? Like the New Zealand Prime Minister, like Ardern. I think she's a great inspiration. I really like the way how she is using social, media to bring the collaboration and the whole country together. It's not just a corporation, right? So those are things which I really read, and those ideas really spark me up. And I constantly look for, being a startup, I always look for my purpose, how do I really provide more value for my customers? So I always look at how are these career transition happens. What do people like to read? I think those are the things which I constantly read and make sure we are providing as part of our solution.
Yep, no, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so final question for all three of you. And Gowrie, let's continue with you. Final thoughts or advice on those pursuing a purpose-driven leadership path?
I'll just say like one sentence, you don't need approval or like somebody's positive feedback to believe in your cause. So go for it and get it.
I like that. Sarah, how about you? Final thoughts or advice?
Yes, I would say that to when I was first looking at purpose, I think, well, how does that fit in with metrics? And I would say that metrics are not bad as part of purpose, but what you need to do is add the other, which is the purpose above it, and lead with the purpose. It doesn't mean that you're not measuring things. It just means the purpose is first.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And then Pruitt, how about you? Final thoughts or advice for those pursuing a purpose-driven leadership path?
Yeah, so discovering your purpose, pursuing it, it is completely an individual journey and experience. And I think Sarah said this earlier, where someone can't define it for you. You know, we can talk about purpose, but everyone's going to perceive an action, a service differently. It's going to hold a different value in our heart. And so what I would say is take a look at where you are consciously and unconsciously spending your time and investing energy. And more than likely, you do have some sort of purpose in that area. And I would say you aren't ever too young or too old to define what your purpose is, right? It's all about starting, and it's about that impact. Feeling uncomfortable is okay. Usually that indicates that you're growing, and have confidence, like believe in yourself. There may be many individuals who don't understand your purpose. That's okay. It's yours. It's that individual journey. And then I just go back to what I said about purpose-driven leaders. Walk your talk, jump in and do what's necessary, and then have a level of gratitude as well. Because again, you're not going to be able to achieve this on your own. You're going to have to build that tribe that both Gowrie and Sarah mentioned.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, well, wow. What inspiring stories from each of you today around that purpose-driven leadership and what that means uniquely to each of you. I'm sure we got all something, out of that resonates with us. I'd like to sincerely thank all of you, Sarah, Pruitt, Gowrie, for sharing today, and really appreciate your thoughtful responses and real personal responses. So with that, over to you, Karen, for some parting thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You probably couldn't see in the chat, but there was so much, digital high-fiving and amening going on inside the chat. It's so fantastic. You definitely inspired many and shown that you can do it, right? You can actually bring it together. Purpose, business orientation, success, and that you can use it as fuel. And I think that's what I hope many of us are leaving this session feeling, right? Like purpose is fuel. It expands possibilities. It helps us push for more, not settle for less. It's about naming your North Star, like boldly naming your North Star and putting your ideas into action. And drawing those allies around you, calling a community to support you and join you in those goals. And in a community like Women in Cloud, there is a center of gravity around this to help create that amplification. This is a time of high opportunity. We need women in there doing their part, taking the stage, making a difference. We can't wait to hear what you'll activate next.